Hi everybody, thank you for watching. In today's look, I did a cranberry brownish eye tone with some shimmers in there for the holidays. So it would be perfect for any kind of special event that might be coming up. I paired with it some fall colors just to kind of go with the scheme. But if you'd like to achieve a look like this, then I hope you keep watching. So I've already primed and applied my spray tan or sunless color to bronze up my face. I'm now going to go in while that's drying with this Morphe eye primer, which is here. It's just the eyelid primer base. It only came in one shade. So I'm just going to apply this all over the eye. I haven't used this one as much. So I'm kind of curious about it because I do like that it goes on neutral. Next, I will be setting that with my go-to setting powder right now, which is the Shape Tape. I used this in my Barbie pink video. So I'm just going to generously apply it, but I don't want there to be like excess powder. So it does kind of have a texture, which I just need to press it down. Next, I'm going to fill my brows. To start, I'm going to use this Milk Makeup Kush Triple Brow Pen Crayon and really just drawing in the spokes here. I need a mirror, but I just dyed these. So I use like a semi-permanent dye. Bought it, I think it's by Beautiful Brows. I've talked my whole family into doing it. So I've done my mom's, my sisters. It's fun. So just in the front to create those hair strokes, I'm going to apply this pen. It goes on more like a watercolor, so I am a little bit generous with it. Next, I'm going to be going in with the Dip Brow Pomade in Soft Brown by Anastasia Beverly Hills, using my double-ended brush here. So my brows are super dark today because they are freshly dyed, but that's okay because I am going to compensate with colors that I pop onto the eye throughout this look. So to set the brows, I'm going to use this MAC Pro Longwear Waterproof Brow Set. And I'm just stroking this over, which is really all I should have done today instead of going in with the pomade, but it's okay. Live and learn. While I was off camera, I also sculpted the brows using this Contour, Conceal, and Highlight by Too Faced. This is the Born This Way Multi-Use Sculpting Concealer. They were just a little heavy, and I could see that some of the dye had gotten outside my brow. So this was just a really nice way to clean it up in advance, especially because sometimes that pigment is going to pull through if you're super fair-skinned or you're using a more translucent or just light coverage foundation. So just to prevent any of that breakthrough, I did go ahead and sculpt those brows, which I'm happy to do in another video to explain my process. Next, I'm going to be using this Naked Urban Decay Cherry palette, and it looks like I have here. It's a really beautiful palette, which is perfect for what I'm doing, which is kind of this holiday glam with like some cranberry tones. In addition to that, I did like the Jaclyn Hill palette with Morphe Cosmetics. So there are a couple more shades in here that I think would be good to continue to build that cranberry tone that I didn't see in this cherry palette. So to start, I'm going to go in with the shade Feels, which is right here. It's a kind of a sandy pink. And I'm going to just bring this into my crease. A little harsh. Okay, so this priming solution is really great because it picks up the pigment really well. So there's the first eye. I'll do the second eye off camera. Next, I'm going to go in with the shade Juicy, which is like a light peachy pink. I'm going to bring this down and also bring it up so all the colors are just melting together really nicely. Get out. Next, I'm going to go in with this shade here. This is Bing. I am using a more defined brush, still sort of fluffy for blending, but it is the MAC 266 brush. I've had this forever. So I'm going to tap it because we want to make sure that it's the right color, and if too much goes down and it wasn't what you were hoping, or it's not really going with the theme, it's kind of hard to undo. Do the other thing on the other side, just tap it first, make sure there's not too much pigment on the brush. And as you can see, there's fallout, but as I mentioned in my hot pink video, you can do your foundation step second, especially when you're using a lot of colors on the eye. I think it just helps to be able to clean it up at the end and not have to clean it up in process. Next, I'm going to be going in with this shade here. It's called Roxanne. It's kind of a brick color, but it also starts incorporating some of the browns, which I'm not trying to have this be a just total complete cranberry eye. I mean, I like that, but I also want it to be, suitable. Sometimes I think when it's all cranberry, it looks a little wild, at least for me and for like my family who is not as extra as I am. So I'm going in and kind of keeping this close to the corner of the eye, but bringing it up slightly. And I am using this brush that came in one of my Anastasia palettes because it's just a little smaller and allows me to keep the color close without it being super concentrated. Next, I'm going to take the back side of that brush and using this shade, which looks like Jax, I think. So I'm using the other side of the brush, which is a little flatter, stiffer, allowing me much more control, bringing this down and keeping it on the lid in the corner of the eye. Next, to start bringing that color down so it's not super top heavy, I'm going to use the same side of that brush and using that brick color I used in the last stage, which I think it was Roxanne. I'm going to bring this down and try and connect it with the top. It's all kind of like a whoosh, and it's working as we go along here. They're all starting to come together. I love the way that these colors look. This is exactly what I was hoping for. And I didn't do this in advance. I'm playing with products as we go. So you're getting honest feedback on what they look like and how they apply. Next, I'm going to go in with this shade, which looks like it's Chip. If I'm reading that right. I'm going to use the other side of that brush. It's a deep brown, and again, I'm keeping this really close. I'm kind of laying the sheets down for my bed of liner that I will be putting on shortly. Make that a little bit deeper. But then it's creating this nice little transition of like deep brown to cranberry, which I really like. I'm also going to allow some of this to get into the corner. Just make sure I've blended all this out. This Morphe stuff is like really holding the color, but it's also really nice. It's picking up and brightening also. It's super nice. Next, because this was not using the Morphe primer did not have pigment in it, I am going to cut this crease. So to do that, I'm just going to use the end of this Too Faced brush, which is with the concealer, and I'm just going to bring it over. I focus really closely here. I don't mind if it isn't like a clean cut, because I am going to go in with a secondary brush, which in this case is going to be the Morphe M421 and blow it out. And this allows you to be a little bit more precise. You could always like dip your brush into it in advance if you wanted this to be really, really clean, but I think it looks more natural to not have like a total cut crease. There's a time and place for it. But in this instance, you know, I'm going to wear this for Thanksgiving and I'm okay if it looks a little bit blown out. So there we go. Next up, using that same brush, I am going to spray it with my iconic London Prep Set Glow, just because this is going to have a little shimmer. Don't need to go super crazy. I got this Too Faced glitter set a couple years ago. I think it was in 2017. This is the shade Wrapped in Pink. It was a part of a holiday set of glitters. So you can kind of see. It's got a little blues to it. I always start with the lid. So I'm going to dip my brush in there, pick up some color, but not too much. And I'm applying this right in the middle. I don't want to run this all the way in. I'm going to be incorporating more champagne and gold tones there. So now I am going to have to pick it up a little bit more. It isn't as heavy as I thought, but it's just good practice, like not dip it in because you never know. You might end up getting fallout. I've had glitter nightmares where it ended up getting all over my face, and glitter can be really, really hard to cover up. Doing the same thing on the other eye, focusing strictly in the middle here. I decided I wanted to bring a little bit of that shade on the bottom as well and kind of do the same thing I was doing up top. So I'm dipping it a little bit and moving it right here. Again, leaving space in the end for my champagne tone. I mean, it doesn't look all that different. It kind of keeps things similar, but it does brighten up a little. I can see a little sparkle. Make sure that looks good. All right. Next, I'm going to go in with the Fenty, I think this is called 24 Karat Gold. This is a loose highlighter. I'm just going to dip that same brush into it and keep moving down. This is very pigmented, so I am not picking up a lot, and I just kind of want to keep blending that into the color previous to it, kind of like I did with the other. Focusing there, bringing a little bit down. It's a little too gold. It doesn't look it on the camera, but in person I feel like it's wearing a little bit more on the yellow side. So I'm not going to use as much as I had originally planned. And this might dull down with some time. A little bit more on the side. Okay. Last but not least, I am going to use this Wet n Wild. Same thing. You know the rules. Using the same brush. It's very precise. Kind of melting that into the color before. And a little bit over it. My family would look at me with, like I had 4 heads. I did it last year for my birthday, and I know my brother was like, what is going on? Okay, next step is going to be the liner. So I am going to take this CoverGirl, doesn't really matter what you use. This is the Onyx Noir or Black Onyx, shade 200. This is Perfect Point, I think it's called. I go in here because I don't know what to call it. I feel like my lashes are kind of lifted. So like when I wear lashes, I feel like you can always see the line. Okay, so then I'm going to go in with the Rare Beauty Perfect Strokes liner. And as always, I'm just going to start in the middle to make sure I've made a good like width. And I'm just going to carry that out. Okay, and then I'm going to do Bring it down a little bit on this side. My hand's kind of shaking. Typically, I try to do my shimmers after my liner because it makes it hard for the liner to go over the textures, but it's okay because I didn't do too much shimmer, so it should be okay, but you will see it. Sometimes it does transfer to your brush or like the head of the eyeliner. Normally, I would go over that step with black, but because I don't really have black in this look, I don't really want to do that. So I'm going to use this brown shade here, which I think is called Mocha, which makes a lot of sense. Looks like Mocha. So then I'm just going like over the top of it. I like this to be not super flat, if that makes sense. Like sometimes I like it to be just like a sharp line, but sometimes I want everything to be blended a little bit better, which I like here. It kind of makes it a little bit more natural and just kind of blends the colors and melts them together a little nicer. So I did feel like we needed a little bit more definition in the crease. So I'm going to go in with this shade here. I think it was called Jax. I used it a little bit earlier. I'm going to really try to keep that really, really close to the corner here so that it's not all blended out. Same thing on the other side. So. Much better. For lashes today, I'm going to be using the Lash DNA by Salon Perfect. I'm going to trim these off camera and pop them on, and then I will be right back. So I went ahead and applied the lashes. I'm going to let these dry a little bit before I apply my mascara to the top and bottom, and it'll also give me the ability to get really, really close to the lash line with my concealer and foundation. So I will be moving on to that step here shortly. For this step, I am using the Christian Dior Air Flash in the shade 4. And then I'm also using the Huda Beauty, which is kind of my go-to. I just spray the Air Flash into the little container I use for my foundation. And then I'm using this big fluffy brush by Tarte to blend it around. I found that if I do use the Air Flash, it applies better with the brush. I am going to top it off by using my beauty blender, but for application purposes, it's just easier to do it with a brush. So making sure I've moved all that around. Here we go. Okay. Now I am going to go in with my damp beauty blender and just press that in. Making sure I push it into the hairline that's so pale right now, over the nose, and just making sure ultimately that's nice and pressed in. Next step is going to be to go in with the concealer. So today I'm using this multi-sculpting. I've kind of kept things consistent. I'm not switching around a bunch of concealers today. Sometimes I do mix them if like my colors just align better with, I'm going to drag that out, apply a little bit to my nose and bring that up here, and a little on the chin. I also always go in here because I think it just helps improve that shadow. So then I'm going to go in and press that color in, making sure to not completely cover up the work I've done in here. So maybe using the pointy end to do that. And it cleaned up all the fallout. So that's amazing. And over each of the spots that I did. use, or I should say the sunless color that I use to kind of bronze things up is a little on the warmer side. So this just kind of brings things back into balance. And again, my hair is going to be down, so you're not going to see this crazy hairline, but for right now, it does look a little wild up there, but no worries. Next, I'm going to go in with two blushes. I'm going to be using Orgasm by NARS with a big fluffy brush. I'm just using the same one that I used when setting and using that matte color. This isn't super pigmented, but you can see a little bit, and there is some shimmer to that. Secondly, I'm going to go in with the Too Faced Strawberry, but I'm going to focus on this pink side and just dab it a couple times and then bring it over here. Again, it looks way pinker in the container than it actually shows up. So, good. I felt like I needed to incorporate some of that warmth, so I'm using this Morphe All Over Body Bronzer. I got this at Ulta. I think I got it over the summer, maybe not. Here. Okay. Just bring that down on my neck. Okay. Lastly, I can finally go in with these lashes before wiping away the under eye. So I'm going to use the Voluminous Primer by L'Oreal. First, to fuse the lashes together. I love these. I've been using those like double-ended mascaras, or like buying the 2-pack that L'Oreal sells with the black and the primer for years. I actually do think it works. I've used one by, I think it's Lancome. They make a really, I think it's called Definissals. I love that one too. So I'm going to use the Damn Girl by Too Faced in black. And just making sure to give all those lashes some love so it can all blend together. Now I am set to wipe away this under eye and any excess that might be on the face. One of my favorite steps is the highlight portion. I dipped it a little bit in that Fenty Beauty color because I kind of think that warmth of that like yellow tone will be great, but then I'm gonna ultimately go in with my fave, the Wet n Wild. And I'm always really generous, especially over here. I don't like bringing it too far down in here because I just think I look crazy. I don't think it does what I hope it's going to do every time. So I kind of stop like right at the center of the eye. And that looks really good. Kind of go over your brows a little bit to make sure that it's even and you have a little highlight under the brow. Now I'm going to go in with the lips. I'll just move this out of the way. So I'm using a couple different colors here. First, I'm going to line my lips with the shade Fresh Clay by MAC. And this is one of their Lip Tensity lip pencils. They used to make these years ago. And then they told me they were just continuing to come out with the liquid lipsticks. Oh my God, this one's out. And I was so sad. And then I was in there getting my makeup done and doing like lesson. And they told me they were back. My lips always look a little lopsided, so I was just making sure they were even, a little bit off camera. Now I'm going to go in the shade Carnal, which is a comfort matte. This is by Urban Decay. I met a girl, I used to work for ADP, and I met a girl that was like, oh my God, this is the color all the girls wear in Nashville and Tennessee, and I was like, oh my God, it's so cute, because it's kind of just like, it's like a deep nude, but it goes with everything. I love it. In the center of the lip, I'm going to go in with the shade Honey Love. Just make that kind of brighter in there. And lastly, I'm going to pop on the Gold Gloss, which is, I think, Kinkiness by MAC. It's gold. Oh, it's a part of the Cailtin Jenner collection. I was like, I've never heard of this color. I have another gold one that is a little different. But this is perfect because I just want like a simple gloss. So this is the final look. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I paired with it this really fall toned top because I think it's super Thanksgiving-y. And I look forward to seeing you next time.